Often, life is a hectic race where we only focus on the finish line without giving much thought to the plan. It's no wonder we are not always pleased with the final outcome. In a county where unemployment is hovering around 9%, the competition to find work is often tedious and frustrating for the unemployed. But Polk Works is giving people who are on the job hunt someone to run the race with step by step. In January, Polk Works launched the Race to Place initiative, which has a goal of putting 10,000 Polk residents back into the workforce by June 30th. In January, 1,450 job seekers gained employment, and the Race to Place is picking up steam, providing people with practical tips on everything from cover letter writing to resume honing. Today, we are glad to welcome a trio of people to Polk Place whose mission is to help Polk residents find work. First, here today with us, we have Ashley Brungard, the job readiness instructor at Polk Works. We also have with us Monica Schultz, the Human Resources Director at Mosaic Fertilizer. And we also, from Polk Works, have Stephen Carr, who is the Assistant Director of the Business Services Unit. Obviously, you guys have a passion for the people of Polk County and just getting them out of their houses back into the workforce. Stephen, let's start with you. If you wouldn't mind just giving us a little bit of information about this initiative that you guys are all working so hard on.
Yes, I will. As you stated, the primary goal of the initiative is to place 10,000 Polk County residents into employment. What that encompasses is the total involvement of the entire community, from private sector to public sector, and we've had an enormous amount of response. The entire community is on board, and again, our goal is to help place 10,000 Polk County residents into employment.
How did you guys dream up the initiative and decide this was a quick way to just build some momentum to get people back in the workforce?
You spoke on it. The unemployment rate in Polk County is extremely high, and my boss, Stacy Campbell Dominique, thought of the idea, Race to Place Polk County residents into jobs. And it wasn't just a thought. It was broken down, hey, involvement of the entire community, whether it's the government, the local government, or corporations involved, and everyone has joined this cause, and it has been amazing so far, and again, we're continuing to move forward.
Where can people find out a little bit more about the Race to Place and how they can kind of get involved or take advantage of its services? Great
question. At any time, 24 hours a day, they can look at our website at www.polkworks.org.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you, Stephen. I mean, for some people, I imagine 24 hours a day, they're sitting there on their computer, typing away, filtering through search results for jobs. I guess to start off with the most basic question, what is the best use of time, the best way to search and apply for jobs nowadays?
Okay. I'll go ahead and take that question.
Okay.
The best way to search for jobs in today's competitive job market is a combination of both in-person networking as well as using the internet. There are several great job sites out to search for jobs, including the Employ Florida Marketplace, which is Polk Works' #1 source for job postings. That's where you'll find all the job postings for the Race to Place initiative.
Okay. And kind of what you were talking about, it's a combination sometimes of not only the online searches and information that you can get digitally, but also making connections. I guess talk about what type of response do you kind of see in nowadays work market from actually making cold calls maybe to see about job positions, or even just going door to door?
I would say very little. You know, the world has changed, and I think it's who you know and how much you know about the business and the position you're applying for. Sometimes people apply for everything in front of them. To me, you have to target your time and your effort towards something that you're good at and something that you're going to be motivated to do. Right. I can honestly say at Mosaic, I'd say more than half of the people we hire are friends and family. We put a strong emphasis on that. We have sometimes 3 generations working in our plant, side by side. So it's a real good way. It's who you know, how you know them, and the connection happens naturally.
Right. Say that maybe you don't have some of those connections, or you're newer to the area, or just looking for a new line of work. How important, I guess, just talk a little bit about not only the resume process of updating that, but also the cover letter writing, because a lot of people maybe haven't had a chance to sit down and write one for a while because they haven't been out of work for some time.
Resumes are a very important part of today's job search. In addition to having a resume, you also have to have a cover letter. And what that does is present yourself to the employer specifically for that position that you're particularly applying for. And the cover letter is very important because it states how your skills will benefit that employer, and that's what we find employers are looking for today, how we as job seekers will benefit them.
So would you say that it's a fair assessment that every job has its own cover letter? It's not something that you can stockpile and put on your PC and say, oh, I can just pull that off and send it off?
No. It is safe to say that you do need to do an individual cover letter for each job that you apply for.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. That's very important. And when we're recruiting, you know, in a couple days we may get 2,000 applicants for a certain position.
Wow.
Times are tough. So I cannot sit here and say I have all the time in the world to read a 3-page resume.
Right.
So that cover letter is a snapshot. You are marketing, you incorporated.
Yeah.
And you have very few seconds to sell yourself. So that cover letter summarizes what you are about, what you're looking for, what you got to offer.
Right.
It's very important.
Well, like you speak, if it's the you incorporated versus you incorporated squared out there, I mean, you have tons of people trying to get these jobs. Just from your guys' experience, what's the best way to get a callback on an application or cover letter? And what's a quick way to get your name tossed out, just from your experience reading through them and helping people?
Okay, I'll take that one.
Okay.
With an application, one of the best ways to ensure you do get a callback is to make sure it is targeted to the specific position. You're going to hear a specific used a lot in the 2013 job search. You want to ensure there are no mistakes made on the application and that everything is filled out correctly. The application, what I like to say in the classes I teach at Polk Works, is eventually your official record of employment. So it's very important that it's filled out correctly.
Yeah.
Right. Do you have anything that you might want to add to that?
Correctly and truthfully. Sometimes people, you know, want to say more than what they really know what to do.
They may embellish something.
Correct. And I think you need to stick to the facts, stick to the data, and you know, and you will find a perfect match. It's just a matter of, you know, keep on looking, never give up, and you will find a home.
Right. And so say that you're someone out there who's looking for a job and you finally got that exciting call that it's time to put on your best clothes, time to, you know, sit in front of the mirror, or stand in front of the mirror, I should say, and do a little rehearsing. What are some tips, I guess, for starting with the dress? I mean, because you have to dress for success, as they say. What are some tips you have for dressing well for an interview?
Would you like to start off with that one? Okay.
First off, you have to dress the part. You're coming for an interview. And it doesn't matter if you're going to an industrial environment like a processing plant where I work. You have to dress the part. You have to put your best clothes on. Something very discreet, very classic. Don't load up on jewelry, not a whole lot of perfume. If you're a smoker, don't smoke right in before the interview. It doesn't bother me personally, but it may bother others. And again, be very respectful, walk professional, act professional, be honest and truthful. I think that's the beginning of it. You know, you have to, and also be confident. Practice in front of the mirror. Practice with friends. Go online, right? There's several websites that will help you with, you know, how to address questions. And I think the most important thing, an interview is 20 to 30 minutes long on average. That's the time you have to sell yourself. Don't be too humble. And also try to cover as much as you can, telling a story. Specific examples go a long way. You know, we don't want general answers. Oh, you have to be a leader. Yes, but how do you lead? So
right, and it's a great segue because it is the stories, but it's also the ability to answer the challenging questions.
Right.
I guess whenever you're coaching someone or getting them ready for that, you know, the question that you really hope they just forget to ask. How do you what is that question sometimes, just from your experience, and how do you kind of coach people to take those on?
Well, you know, I struggled thinking about what the trickiest interview question is, or what the one is that we fear the employer asking us. And after some deep thinking, it really is the most common simplest of questions, believe it or not. For example, why should I hire you? That's one question that if you don't have a direction or you're not able to tell a story, like Monica mentioned, you really could go into providing information regarding your personal life, which should not be included in the interview. You need to name a skill or name an asset and elaborate on that with a working example from your past history.
So after you've taken it all in, maybe it's been a few weeks, maybe it's been a few months for some people looking, and you finally say, man, I got through the interview, wait and see what happens. What is your advice in terms of when is it an appropriate time to call back or check in on the status of that?
Okay.
I would say at least give it a week or two before you call. I think emails are preferred at this day and age. You know, and just thank you letter right after, or email right after the interview is very appropriate and very appreciated. And if you remember additional information, again, put that on an email, because sometimes the person is so nervous they walk out and remember several things they forgot to tell us, so it's okay to do that. And you know, if you really care about the job, show it. It's okay.
As you were talking about previously, a lot of it's about storytelling in terms of getting yourself out there during an interview. What about a story or some of the stories you hear of people who have not had to do interviews for maybe a couple of decades, or people who just are kind of feeling down and out as they go through this process?
Becoming down and out in the job search process is very, very common. We like to refer to job searching as a very lonely thing to do because you're solely responsible for your success in your job search. Some of the things that we see are employees who have recently become victims of unfortunate layoffs after being employed for so long, and now they're thrown out into this technology-driven environment. One of the things that we do is we encourage them to start learning computers. That's one of the skills that we find a lot of individuals who have been employed for a while seem to lack with the changes in technology over the years.
Yeah, and do you have any specific resources that you might guide these people to, or even just some things like basic appearance-wise? I mean, maybe getting a haircut, things like that you would recommend?
We certainly do. At Polk Works locations, both in Winter Haven and in Lakeland, we have job readiness workshops. They consist of 10 days of complete job search focused curriculum sessions, ranging from introduction to job search to mastering resumes and cover letters as well. We also have resources that our job seekers can have access to. We've got a clothing closet to assist in finding interview appropriate apparel, as well as haircut vouchers from a local barber that we've partnered with recently.
Stephen, just in terms of this Race to Place initiative, I guess what have you seen as the momentum has built? And just, I guess, give us a little bit of what your experience from being on the ground looks like.
On the ground, each day we're getting an enormous amount of new openings that, you know, it's coming in every single day, and it just seems like we have just a total involvement with the community. Companies who haven't posted in a while are now posting jobs, and we're working diligently to match the job seeker with the opening.
Right, and it sounds like you guys have things there for people who have put in applications to help them maybe get to jobs and some other resources like she was talking about?
Absolutely, absolutely, and they're there. You just simply have to have the need. If you're on your way to an interview, ask for a haircut voucher, transportation, clothes, and that's what we're doing just to help move any barriers whatsoever to gaining employment.
Right. A lot of it is kind of motivational and just kind of giving these people a pep talk. And I guess, Monica, you were talking a little bit off camera about the 3 A's of the triple A's of kind of getting hired. If you wouldn't mind sharing those with the audience.
Yes, this is something a general manager that I used to work with used to tell us. The first A is for aptitude. You have to have aptitude for that position. So don't try to be something you're not. If you do what you like, you're going to be successful. You're going to do wonders, but you got to like your job. And then the second A is about attendance. Something very simple. Be reliable, show up to work, show up on time, do what you're told. So that's the whole attendance reliability piece. And also a very important A is attitude. Having a positive attitude, you know, overcoming barriers. One point that I always tell people, if you're not working, you could volunteer. It's a win-win. On your resume, it's not going to show a gap in employment because you can list that you were volunteering. You're going to meet people there that could help you with your job search. So don't stay home all depressed. You know, get out there, hook up with Polk Works, and you're going to be fine. You just can't give up.
Well, thank all three of you for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Because what you guys did is just show us that not only is there knowledge out there to be had for the citizens of Polk County, but there's passion for the people. And if anyone out there watching would like more information about the Race to Place, they can go online to www.polkworks.org, or they can call the office at 863-508-1100.